never lost. Think of what I did today, how it's gonna be. I've got a bunch of real good reasons that you're never gonna see. You are consistently breaking me. All that I've forgotten is us. Us. Time's up, you're gone today. Nothing could make you stay. You are finished with me for now. Finished with me for now. Taking it all away.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering about the roads years it like to me to go over everything. They say the time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much here. Hello, can you hear me? I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be when we were younger and free. Forgotten how we felt when the world fell at our feet. There's such a difference between us and the media now. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you sorry for breaking your heart, but it's so bad I really doesn't tear you apart anymore. So typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. I hope that you will. Did you ever make it out of that town where nothing ever happens? It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. So hello from the other that I'm trying to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart, but it don't matter. Clearly doesn't tear you apart anymore. Ooh, anymore. Ooh, anymore. Ooh, anymore. Anymore. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times to tell you sorry for everything that I've done, but when I told you, never seemed to
choices, gamble on a dream. Heard the stakes are high, but still you bet on everything. All those voices tell you anything. Baby, you gon' hurt yourself if you keep listening. Inside it with you, inside it.
Taking that time right behind my back, and I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. I can fall through my mind behind a secret, and the message coming through my eyes.
Come on.
And the message coming through my And the message coming through my eyes. I'm gonna fight 'em all. A seven-nation army couldn't hold me back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. I can fall through my mind behind a secret. And the message coming through my eyes. And the message coming through
Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar about financial strategies for network marketers. And this is gonna be a training about the most important basics you need to know regarding your money and how to invest to grow your business. And of course, we are not financial advisors and we're not gonna give you financial planning advice, but we're gonna talk to your eyes, networker to networker, about everything that helped us build real wealth with our business and not just running all our life like happens to many people. You know, the big promise about network marketing is getting that financial freedom. And most network marketers never achieve it. And that's because they don't know the principles we want to talk about. And it's going to be basic principles. If you're interested in more specific tactics and knowing exactly how to invest into your team, we're going to do an in-depth training and half-day training next week. But at least if you need the basics to survive and then to thrive in network marketing as a business and actually make money, then this is the training you and all your team need. I want to make a parenthesis for my English-speaking people. Please have 5 seconds of patience. I need to say something in Spanish. Para toda la gente que nos está viendo en español,
for every person that is watching us in Spanish, you have simultaneous translation. Please make sure to activate your correct channel. If you are in the wrong channel in YouTube and there is no translation at all, please go and look for the email that you received and get in touch with the support department so they can give you the right link. There's a link in English and a link in Spanish. And since this is an international broadcasting, I'm going to speak in English, so make sure to have your translation. We have our translation Edmundo, our star translator here, an expert in our subject here, so he can help us out and give the better and the best translation possible.
This is a very important topic for you because on one hand, if you are more prosperous, more people will want to join your team. but also if you invest intelligent, you will multiply your growth. You can grow way faster and stronger if you do it in a smart way regarding money. And also, if something goes wrong along the way, you will have the strength, the financial strength to survive that. And of course, a prosperous life has way more chances to be a happy life. So, in any way you want to see this, if you really want to have a successful business, this is something you need to know. And let me tell you a story regarding this about the first time I met Randy Gage, my dear friend and colleague who you will listen from in a couple minutes. The first time I met him in person was in a training. It was a half-day training about smart money for network marketers. It was about how to have financial literacy, which is exactly the same training we will give next week, only enhanced and way better than that one. But that was the most important training I had in my life. I attribute most of my wealth and my wellness to that training. It was something huge for me. And I never had any training on this topic before. This was my first time, but I was having success with my check in my business. So this was only for high ranks on the company. The person who had the how do you say, the smallest income in the room was earning around $18,000. But we had people in the room making $250 also. So we were on this training, and before the training, Randy said that one condition to be able to go there was to read The Richest Man in Babylon, this book that has many basic concepts that we will train in depth next week. And on the training, he said, okay, please stand up, whoever applied the rule of paying yourself first. And we're not gonna discuss this in depth now, but basically it's every time you receive money, you need to save 10% before you start spending money. So this rule was in the book, and I had to read the book. Even I hated reading because this was the only way to go to this training. And when he said, please stand up, the people who actually did this, only 2 of us stood up. 2 out of 80 people. And please remember, there were people in the room making $250,000 every month, and they couldn't save 10% of their income. And why I'm telling you this? Because sometimes we think that we have bad finances because we have a bad check. But that's not the truth. If you don't know how to manage your finances when you're broke, you won't know how to manage them when you're rich. And believe me, right now, 13 years after that episode, half of that room is still struggling month after month. And it doesn't matter how much they are making, they are struggling financially. So you need to know the principles to have an actual nice business and life. So with that in mind, let's start with all the principles. And here's with you the creator of that training that changed my life, my friend Randy Gage.
Every few months, sometimes it's 4 or 5 months, but I get the call or the DM or the text. Randy, I desperately need your help. My company just terminated me because they're crooks, because they whatever. We do have some of that in this profession, unfortunately. There are companies that when people start making a $30,000 a month check, $50,000 a month check, the company owners will say, hey, there's nobody worth that kind of money. They've already brought in most of the people they're going to bring in. I'm going to terminate them. A few people may quit, but I'll keep the most of them. And they get terminated. Or they're calling to say, hey, my company went out of business. You know, they changed the comp plan. It didn't work out. A bunch of leaders left. Things kind of caved in. And now I just got a call. The company's no longer paying bonuses. Or hey, Randy, the company was just got, the government came in with an emergency restraining order and they cut they shut the company down. There's no bonuses, no orders are being shipped. They might be out of a check for 2 weeks, 2 months, forever. They don't know. And my next question is, how are you financially? How are you set up? And the frightening thing is they're virtually, oh man, it's more than 90% of them. More than 90% of them are 3 months, 3 bonus checks worth, 3 months worth of bonus checks away from bankruptcy. They have a car that's leased. They have no equity in it. They bought a bigger home than they needed because they wanted to impress people with how successful they were and do virtue signal, what top leader they are. They bought all kind of bling bling and stupid stuff, and they do not have any type of retirement savings, and they haven't done any proactive program to make their money work for them. Warren Buffett, who is the most successful investor probably of the last, I don't know how many generations, he has 2 rules for creating wealth. And it's investing is not the topic of our talk today. Because again, making it very clear, neither Jaime or I are financial planners or accountants or CPAs. We have no licensing at all. I'm a high school dropout. He's much better educated than me, but he's not a licensed financial planner. What we are is 2 network marketers who have built a really great income and lifestyle and financial security by knowing how to be financially literate. And that's the point we're sharing with you. So Warren Buffett, I'm not going to model him in everything, but one of the things I model him in is investing. He has 2 rules for creating wealth. Rule number 1 is never lose money. Rule number 2 is refer to rule number 1. This is one of the wealthiest men in the history of human civilization. And his entire philosophy can be can be summed up in those 2 rules, which obviously is really one rule. And that's his thing is, so like when I set up how I make my money work for me, and I'm going to go in depth. Again, we're not charging anybody anything for this. This is just a preview to see if you think the seminar a week from today is helpful for you. And it would be worth your investment of your money and 4 or 5 hours of your life to really learn, right? So I will give you some examples of how, even on, a lot of people have 401k retirement plans here in the United States. You would be fascinated to learn, most of you, that the 401k plan was never designed for retirement. It's a tax shelter for rich people. It's not a retirement plan. Most people have one, though. IRA accounts. They're not very good for retirement because you can lose money. I actually have accounts set up that I literally cannot lose money. They're based on an index, and I can never lose money. I can only gain money. But the amount of money I gain is got a ceiling, because otherwise, right, it would just be a pyramid scheme if you just said, hey, you can only make money, you never lose money. So what I'm willing to give up some of the higher gains to also get the guarantee I'll never lose money. And when you never lose money, it's so much easier to create wealth. And I'm going to put together like a visual or a chart. I want you to see what happens. You think, okay, my account went down 20% this year, but it went up 20% next year, so I'm even. No, you're not even, because now your earnings were based on 80% instead of 100%. And as you work that out over the course of 20 years or 30 years, you could lose $500,000. Even a not that wealthy person could lose $500,000. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. So again, not in the investment context, but in the context of how do you invest in yourself and your business to grow it? So Jaime, you got some great thoughts on that, I know.
Yeah. With that in mind, I think there are 5 things where you can say you are safe to invest in your growth for your business. And you know that these are things that when you manage them well, you cannot lose, which is the first premise that Randy brought up. So for example, you know that if you are investing in your product from your company, that's a smart investment. That's something that you are buying a product that either you want to use and it will improve your health and it will give you a testimonial, or you will use it for your family, so you will have more testimonials in your family, or you will have it to send samples, which will bring you growth, or you will use them for helping your new distributors so they have product to start while they have their product shipped, and then they can bring you back that product. So if you are investing in having the right amount of product for your business, and when we mean the right amount, we're not saying just fill your garage with product that you will never sell. Of course, that wouldn't be smart. That wouldn't be the right way of doing it. But if you have in your mind, what's the right amount of product that I need for my business, and you invest in that, you know that's a smart investment. And that's the kind of thing you should have in your mind. And everyone in your team should know what are the things that you will need product for, so they can know their number. And everyone will have their personal number of how many product is the perfect amount of product for their business to grow. But you cannot cut edges with that, because it's like having a restaurant. If you have a restaurant and you are thinking, how can I cut expenses in anything, then you will think, I will hire a cheaper chef. Then you will have worst food and people won't want to come. Okay, and then I will buy cheaper ingredients. Well, then you will have worst food and people won't want to come to your restaurant. So you can't think that way. You need to think, what's the perfect scenario for me to actually bring customers? And that's the investment I need to be willing to make. And that's the first smart investment. What's the perfect amount of product for doing all the previous stuff we talked about? Other thing, for example, is tools. We are always talking about external construction tools. So if this is your first time here, those external construction tools, what we mean by that is anything that can speak instead of your mouth. If you are able to show something to someone instead of speaking about that, for example, you can show a video, you can point to a magazine, you can point to a website, you can point to an online event. If you can bring people to any of those things that can speak instead of you, that's an external tool. And it's external because it's something outside of yourself. And you already know that's very important, because when someone is looking at your presentation, they are thinking if they can emulate you, if they can also do the business. And if you are talking a lot, many of your prospects will think that they are not able to do this business. But if you show them a video, they know how to push play on a video. If you show them a magazine, they know how to use a magazine or a catalog. So that's a very smart investment, because you know that you are investing in something that will bring you more than you are investing if you are using it right, of course. Some other very smart investment is investing in your growth, deciding and finding out what you're lacking, what abilities you are lacking. If you detect that you need to grow in your prospecting skills, well, that's a very smart investment, investing in something that will teach you how to do it better. And of course, personal development. You know that you will never be bigger than your check will never be bigger than you. So you know that's an amazing investment, and there's no way to lose, because even if you decide you don't want to go with network marketing anymore, everything that you learn will be part of you and will help you in the future with any future business or endeavor you want to have. Some other very smart investment is events, attending the events of your team. If your leader tells you that you need to go to an important event from the company or from the team, the default thought in 90% of the population is, I can't make it. And it's funny, because when you tell someone, hey, we have this very important event, you can see in their eyes how they don't know why, but they know they can't come. They say, no, I can't go because my daughter has an event. First, they know they can't come, and then they think of the excuse for not coming. And that's because people know they need to invest, and they don't want to invest in events because they don't understand how important it is. But we as leaders, we know how important it is to have those events that actually make this group of people a team. And this is where people actually gain the belief needed to be successful. It's not only about the skills. It's not only about knowing how to make a call. It's having the belief in your eyes when you do that call or when you do that presentation, so people actually want to be part of your team. And that's only that you can only gain on big events. If you go to any training with experienced network marketers and you ask who found the believing in their hearts to grow something big, who found that on a big major event, 95% of the people will raise their hands, because that's where people actually gain that certainty and that belief. So it's very important that you invest in that. That's one of the smartest investings you can do. Another thing where you can invest smart money is in building long distance lines. And I'm sorry for my English. I know it's not the best, but I'm sure you are understanding me. If not, please let us know in the chat, and Randy will translate me to proper English. So you can invest in long distance lines. If you find leaders in some other cities or in some other countries where your company is operating, it's a very smart move to invest and travel and help them, if that's money that comes from your business. So if you receive money from your business, you can invest it on growing that same business, traveling to help these long distance lines. And of course, you will only do this if you find leaders to help. You grow where you find the leaders. And next week, we will go in depth on how to invest in those long distance lines. But for now, the important principle is that this is the kind of investments that you do want to do. So as a summary, we talked about 5 things that are smart investments, right? Your product, if it's the right amount of it, on external tools, on your personal growth, on events, and on building lines. But I want to throw in an additional bonus, which was very important for my career, and is investing in being part. How do you say this? Pertenecer, belong. Investing in belonging to groups where you have the kind of people you want in your team. And this is something that we will go in depth next week also, but just as a premise and just as a principle, I found out, and this is something that was very important for my career, people that belong to their church or to Toastmaster groups or to Rotary groups tend to be more successful. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that you are always knowing new people that are willing to put their time on their values and on the things that are important for them, instead of putting their time on the TV. And that's something that is very clear on leaders. If you want to find leaders, these are the kind of places where you will find them, because these are people that have commitment. These are people that are really willing to bet on what they believe. They have character, and that's a sign of a leader. So when you belong to those kind of groups, when you belong to any group, for example, my wife belongs to a group of runners, and she goes 5 times every week to this runners club, and they together plan what are the runnings they're gonna, the marathons and the decathlons and everything they're gonna do. It's the same. It's people committed with goals. It's people committed with values. Belonging to groups is something very powerful, especially if you are in network marketing, because this is where you can grow your network. And that's also a very smart investment, in my personal opinion, if you are thinking of good practices with your money. But of course, sometimes, many times, more important than knowing the good practices, you need to know the bad practices, because that's where you can really make a hole on your pocket and lose every penny that you are earning. So Randy, I know you want to talk about the bad practices that people should avoid.
Yeah, one of the things we promised to share is the number one biggest mistake that gets people into trouble. And it is the tax man or the tax woman or the tax non-binary individual, whatever it is in your case. It's so easy to think, I can afford that. I make $40,000 a month in my bonus check. But $40,000 a month is your gross income. It's not your net income. It hasn't factored in any of your expenses. And really important in almost every country, probably every country that I could see in the chat that we have represented here, the tax is probably the biggest element of that. So here in the United States, it's going to be, you're in a successful bracket, you're going to have 35% is your tax bracket. That's if you're smart and you're savvy, and you're, one of the greatest things about our business is the tax benefits, right? You can, depending on where you live, again, I'm not tax expert, I'm not giving tax law, but in principle, for many, many countries, you take a trip to work with a long distance team. Of course, you can write that off as a business expense. Your phone, your internet, your Wi-Fi accounts, your airport lounge memberships, a lot of countries, even a percentage of your home. You can, like if your office is 22% of your home, you can write off as a tax benefit 22% of your mortgage payment and your taxes on your house and all those kind of things. So there's a lot great tax benefits. So like here in the United States, you can keep yourself to a 35% tax bracket. But what does that mean? I remember the first month my check hit $100,000. I'm like, okay, I got to get serious now. I got to get serious about financial literacy, managing money, started to call some friends, reading some books. And I'm like, what this really means, here's practical application, guys. What that really meant was, oh my God, that $100,000 just got deposited into my account. I need to take $35,000 of it right away and transfer it to the IRS, which is the tax authority here in the US, to my account with the IRS to prepay, a deposit against my future tax bill. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I made $100,000 a month. Now I only have $65,000 a month to play with. But that, my friends, is what you have to do. You have to, Jaime talked about that law of 10% first. It's the same with the taxes. You got to take, my religious friends who tithe, you know how that is? You tithe off the gross. So you make $100, you put 10 for your tithe. If you want to set aside 10% to pay yourself first, the principle Jaime discussed, that came off the top. Now you put your taxes 35%, 35, 45, 55. So you're like, wait a minute, I'm only got 45% left. Yeah, that's realistic. You're just being sensible. Because remember, when the other thing, of course, the mistake people make is just dumb bling bling purchases. So, okay, I love that watch. It's only $25,000. I make $25,000 a month. So this is only 1 month of my bonus to buy that watch. No, that's not true. Because remember, your $25,000 isn't really $25,000. You got 35% that has to go to the tax, or, God forbid, if you're watching in Venezuela or, Argentina or some of the countries with the financial state right now, we're just talking about monopoly money. And you say, well, Randy doesn't understand. He can do that because he lives in America. He doesn't know how crazy it is in Venezuela. Yeah, I actually do know how crazy it is. I know how crazy it is in Argentina. And I'm telling you guys, for you, this training is more important than the other people, because you already start off with, I hate to use this word. I don't want to say enemy. Okay, that's the wrong word. An opponent. You start off with an opponent, in this case, the government, against you. They are your opponent, right? Governments don't make prosperity. When they're really good governments, they can help facilitate prosperity. But most of the time, governments kill prosperity. So they're an opponent. They are hurting your potential to create financial security for yourself and your loved ones. And so the stuff that we're talking about now, and much more importantly, what we're talking about a week from today, is more important for you guys than ever. So now you start to understand, okay, that 20, because maybe you do want to buy that $25,000 watch. I'm a watch whore. I've got a couple hundred watches, and I have $25,000 watches, and I have $50,000 watches, and I have $85,000 watches. Okay. And everything in between. I have Swatch watches that cost me $20 that I love. So I'm a watch guy. But I reckon, a couple of things for me. I only pay cash when I buy a watch. I'm never going to buy it on credit. And more importantly, I know what percent of my monthly check that watch really is, because I'm not operating from the top line number. Because remember now, you got, let's say you're up to $10,000 a month in your bonus check. Great. Well, if you think, okay, 35,000 of that or 3,500 of that is for the taxes, but didn't you just pay $1,200 for an airplane ticket to go work with a long distance line? Did you spend $500 while you were there? Travel and entertainment and dining or whatever, Uber. Didn't you just buy $200 worth of your mass market recruiting tool that you want to circulate? Didn't you just invest in a membership site or a group, one of those associations that Jaime was talking about that you attend to invest in yourself and your growth? Are you buying personal development books and audios or coaching programs or e-courses? That's all part of your money that you're not actually falling to the bottom line with. So understand the tax man. Understand, like, what is your real budget that you have? And then I think the other dumb thing I see is just this foolish, these foolish impress people purchases. I'm going to buy a home that's 40% bigger than I need or really could afford because it's going to impress everybody on my team. You know what 90% of your team is never going to see the inside of your house. You know what they're going to see? This little Zoom screen here, which you see at my luxurious hotel that I'm at here in Salt Lake City with the cheap wallpaper behind me. That's what they're going to see, where your study, your office, the little closet, the whatever corner of your house that you're broadcasting your Zoom meetings. Come on, 90% of what we do today is digital. It's online. Nobody's going to 3 meetings in a hotel a week now. You're using digital meetings to drive. So now maybe you're saying, okay, I've got a monthly leadership academy where everybody local in Miami gets together and we meet and we do a training and we commune and all of that stuff. But what are you doing most of the time? If you're a busy leader, you're doing 20 Zoom meetings every week. Nobody's going to see your home, right? I have all these watches. I'm not wearing any now. Why? Because I got my, clock everywhere I go. It's in my phone, which I would never go anywhere without. And it's like, so I save my watches for going to the debut night at the Metropolitan Opera, going to some amazing concert or some event. But 90% of that, I'm not even wearing a watch. Nobody's being impressed by all the watches in my drawer. Nobody's being impressed with your dumb bling bling. Look at how the smart way you make money, the smart way that you utilize your money. And here's the worst deadly sin. And then before we leave, I'll come back. Let me see how we're doing time-wise. Yeah. The worst thing you could do is buying ranks, buying qualifications, qualifying people in your team, and buying leaders. And that's where I think the most foolish money is pissed away in our business. I know some companies and some big leaders that have just created a toxic, dysfunctional culture that will never allow them to create financial freedom. It will never allow them to stop being a grinder because they call all the mid-level leaders in their team and they're like, okay, we've got Jimmy, Victoria, and Julio. They all need to qualify as director this month. You each need to go down and buy $500 worth of product underneath them in their group to get them qualified. Oh, it's just, or hey, we're opening up Malaysia. Jimmy wants to go there and build. He's going to go and live there for 2 months. He wants each of us to give him $10,000 to help him live there and grow. And we're all going to make our money back later with bigger bonus checks. It's just a toxic culture and it kills you. People are buying their way to ranks one time. Now, very clear, there will be cases where it is smart for you to place an order and qualify a line because financially it's just a good investment, right? There were times where I might have a diamond leg that's $1,500 short, and I could buy an order for $1,500, ship it to a charity, which we had a foundation, and one of the charities we supported was like veterans who had burns on their skin, and we had a product that was good for them. And so I could send a $1,500 order to that charity and earn an extra $8,000 in my bonus check that month. So there's cases where it's smart, like, hey, this is the way to work the comp plan. But that's not what's happening 90% of the time. What's happening 90% of the time is they're saying, hey, buy this extra order, get the pin, you walk across the stage, you'll be, and they buy a one-time pin that they never qualified for before. Again, or they're trying to buy in a bunch of people at the lower levels. And it just creates a culture, and there's no real foundation to those businesses. People didn't build the building block stuff to create that rank, and they'll never be able to maintain it. So you've got to kill that and get rid of that. So, all right, Jaime, will you share what they need to do if they want to get in the big event next week and do the serious deep training? And then I do have some other thoughts I'd like to come back to on just my kind of ultimate philosophy for how you create wealth in our business. You're muted.
Yeah, sure. Before you go to your ultimate law of wealth creation, just letting people know that next week on Friday, that is Friday 16, at the same time we started this training, which is 10 Central Time, United States or Mexico. We will do this half-a-day symposium on financial literacy. It's an MLM financial freedom symposium, and we will cover in depth how to invest, where to invest in your business, what percentage is better in every stage, because when you are starting, the percentage you invest in some things in your business is different as when you already have a big team. And we will tell you exactly how to build, how to invest in those long distance lines, and how to budget all your checks. Something very important that we will teach is the hierarchy of selling the dream. So what are the smart investments, and what should you prioritize when you are starting to grow your check and you are starting to have that extra income? You want to invest in travel and in big brands and yachts. So what's the right way to prioritize that so it doesn't hurt you, but you can live the dream? So if you want to actually learn how to use your money in the smart way, we want to see you next week. You only need to go to the webpage that will appear here, that you will also receive on your email. But by the way, if you are watching this in English, it's duplicationnation.com/financial symposium. duplicationnation.com/financial symposium. If you are in Spanish, it's nacionduplicacion.com/libertad financiera. nacionduplicacion.com/libertad financiera. Y ahí se pueden inscribir. There you can register for this. It's a very small investment of $277 for the best information you can get on this topic. If you really want to focus on creating wealth with your business, I don't think there's any other training that can teach you this. So, but we also have discounts for groups. So if you have more people in your group that want to attend, then you can get it like 30% less or something like that, which is very cool, because if your team knows this, it's way, way more powerful. Then you can have people growing the right way and doing something much more solid. We have friends in the industry that their main headache is how they need to be helping financially to their leaders, because most of their leaders are broke. And that's something that we cannot conceive, and that's something that you shouldn't conceive. So of course, if you can bring your team, it's that's really investing in the long run. That's really investing in having something solid for years to come.
Yeah, let me put in a warning here too, to all my OCD practical friends. Yes, we're going to do tangible, practical, applicable stuff you can do. But for my part, I'm also going to be a little esoteric. I want to talk about the principles of living a prosperous life. I want to talk about prosperity consciousness versus poverty consciousness. Like, I know there's people who are going to watch this preview and they're going to say $277. Oh my God, I could never spend that kind of money on a webinar. Yet there's things in that webinar that you could learn that might save you $20,000 a year in stupid expenses. There's things you could learn in that seminar on where to invest that might make you hundreds of thousands of dollars. There literally, at some point in that webinar, there will be 60 seconds or less worth of information, which will cancel out the $277 you paid for it, right? But that's poverty consciousness versus prosperity consciousness. This is, I know, because that's the consciousness I come from. The people in my family, they would never buy a massage for themselves or get a facial or a spa day. They have poverty consciousness. They would never order the food they want from the left side of the menu. They're going to order from the price on the right side of the menu. They're going to look for a bargain, a discount, a coupon for everything they do. And I can just tell you from experience, you will never clip enough coupons to become wealthy. You don't become wealthy by hacking expenses. You become wealthy by leveraging your income, leveraging your money. And so I'm going to talk about the principles of prosperity, and I'm going to talk about self-sabotage and the self-sabotage behavior that causes people to cut off their own legs, financially speaking, success-wise. That, so just I want to put in that warning before you wrap that up, that I'm going to be a little spiritual and talk about spiritual principles, because I think it's really important as part of the bigger picture.
Yeah, and actually, when I said at the beginning that this training changed my life, because this is exactly the same training but improved version of what I took with you 13 years ago. When I say that it changed my life, the thing that changed my life the most are the prosperity principles, for sure. And of course, I'm very grateful with the tactics, and I'm very grateful with the priorities, which we will teach. But the principles of prosperity are the ones that really can change anyone's life, because you start to operate in a different level, for sure.
Okay, so guys, do whatever you have to do. And if you can't be there for the whole live thing next Friday, there will be replay for people who, purchase it. So you don't have to be there live. If you can, it'd be great, but it'll be a resource you can come back to. Just my final thoughts, and then I'll turn it over to you, Jaime, for any final thoughts you have. But here's my philosophy for wealth. I want to wake up every morning wealthier than I was when I went to sleep the night before. And do you know, this guy who's, I'm sorry, I'm almost knocking over my multi-million-dollar studio, which is the ironing board that I have my laptop set on here. So when I woke up this morning in this Marriott hotel in Salt Lake City, I was actually wealthier than when I went to bed last night. I'm heading out to the airport from here, flying home to Miami. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up in my own bed in my beautiful penthouse that I love on the island I live on between Miami and Miami Beach. And I will be wealthier tomorrow than I am today. Why? Because I have money working for me. At the ultimate level, you're going to ask yourself the most important question is, am I working for my money, or is my money working for me? And we live in the, we have this opportunity. We live and work in one of the most amazing professions in the world: direct selling, network marketing, leverage sales. And the reason why it's so amazing is because we get to employ the concept of leverage. Leverage is what Taylor Swift does. Leverage is what Shakira does. Leverage is what Mark Cuban does, and Elon Musk and Oprah Winfrey. They don't trade hours for money. They employ the concept of leverage. That's what we get to do in network marketing. But when you really understand these principles, now you get to go to the ultimate level, which is where you can leverage your leverage. You create a monthly bonus check of 20,000 euros or $50,000 or 80,000 euros or whatever the number is. So you're leveraging your time through network marketing, and then you employ these principles to leverage your money, to put your money to work for you. And now you have leverage on your leverage. That's what we want to share with you. Any final thoughts, Mr. Lokier?
Well, just that money is like a game. You need to understand and master the rules, which now we are naming principles. And when you master the rules, you master the game. If you master the rules in Monopoly, you will win. If you do 100 matches in a row, maybe you can lose the first one, but overall you will win more if you master the rules more than the other guy. And the same happens with tic-tac-toe, and the same happens with money. You need to know and master the rules. And today we shared with you some of the most basic important ones. And if you are here and you only need some guidance on how to manage your business better, this is enough, but just make sure that you apply them. Now, if you are in the game of creating actual wealth with your network marketing business, well, then you need to really understand all the principles that Randy was talking about. And if that's the case, then see you next Friday. It will be our honor to share with you this, which was life-changing to us personally. So that's it, my friend. You're on mute. You are in mute.
Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Love you guys. Peace, love. See you in 1 week.
Bye. Thanks.